The problem is I end up reading fan fiction. Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video I'm gonna try and make physically reading, or reading with my eyeballs at least, more of a habit. Like most booktubers, I read a lot, but in the last year, majority of my reading has been done via audiobooks, or at least included audiobooks. In fact, in my reading statistics of 2024, a whopping 60% of my books were read via audiobook or a mix of audio and my eyes. Now let me start by saying that is not necessarily a bad thing. I will take no audiobook slander because I love them. They allow me to continue consuming a story even when I'm having to do something else. That said, there's just something about reading with my eyeballs that I miss. Making a whole deal out of reading. Getting a warm drink, a cozy blanket, laying out and falling into a story. I definitely have not made enough time for that this past year, and I miss it. It's easier for me to annotate a book if I'm holding it in my hands, and I love being able to actually see the progress as I turn pages, to feel the difference as I make my way through a book. I heard years ago that it takes 21 days to instill a habit, so my plan is, for the next 21 days, I'm gonna start my day by reading for 15 minutes before I get out of bed, and I'm always going to try and read a few pages before bed as well. The fact that I focus on rereading in December means I know I enjoy these books. I know I love them already, so getting engrossed into the stories shouldn't be that hard. So with that, wish me luck as I attempt to reinstill this habit.
Good morning. Day one, we actually read for the first 15 minutes. So I started into Something Wild and Wonderful by Anita Kelly. Obviously I didn't get very much read because I only read for 15 minutes, but we did it. I did not get out of bed immediately after my alarm went off. I did sit and, go on Instagram and scroll. The goal is to not scroll on my phone. I mean, I read on my phone also, which probably is not what I should be doing. I should be physically reading. Reading happened. And that's the important part. So we're gonna focus on that. We're gonna start small. This is gonna be a long challenge. It's really not, it's like 21 days.
Good morning. We were 2 for 2. I did wake up this morning. I did go ahead and read. I actually got up a little bit earlier because Josh went into the office today. I didn't wait for my alarm. Whenever he got out of bed and I woke up, I got my phone and I started reading. Still reading on my phone. Like I said, that's gonna be one of the things we're gonna try and transition away from my phone. I'm gonna try and transition to physically reading for the mornings. But last night I did close the day out by physically reading a book. Finished out my chapter in Something Wild and Wonderful. And then I started into The Night Circus. I was about 75 pages in from last year. I knew I wasn't really gonna feel settled into the story if I just picked up where I had left off. So I decided to restart, and I actually already have kind of started annotating more than I did last year. Last year I was more focused on like the quotes and the romance, and this year I was like, I kind of want to track the development of Celia and Marco, and maybe like the motifs of their characters and what goes on around them alone before I start to focus on them as a couple. Already, I'm really enjoying that. It's meant that I've used more tabs than I was expecting. Proud of myself for reading last night. And I think I've already realized like one of the hangups I've had as of late is that I feel like if I can't get 50 pages read, what's the point in sitting down and physically reading? And I shouldn't have that mindset. That's not right. Any little bit of reading, like that's going to stack up. Right now, I'm not focusing on audiobooks at all. I'm purely focusing on physically reading, which means like, yeah, my page numbers might be a little bit lower, but at the very least, I am getting something read. And I really need to focus on that aspect of it. And that's kind of the same mindset I'm trying to utilize when it comes to reading on my phone. I want to have an ebook available so that I can just pick it up whenever I've got 2 or 3 minutes and get a few pages read. And if I do that multiple times throughout the day, at the end of the day, that could add up to 10, 15, 20 pages. So that's part of what I'm trying to work on with this video, is just shifting that mindset. Just getting a little bit of reading in somehow makes me feel like I've got my life together. I'm doing what I need to be doing. Am I going to stick true to reading before bed for the rest of the week? Because I have a pretty busy week actually. And chances are pretty much every day this week, I'm probably going to be going to bed later than I usually would. So reading before bed is gonna get a little bit harder as we go on. We'll see how this goes.
Hello, my friends. So we've officially hit our first day of failure. And Cleo was yesterday. So my first Friday, I didn't even want to wake up early. Like I was so wiped out. So I stayed in bed and overslept. And then Josh and I had to rush out because actually we went to drop off his car at the shop before work to get an oil change. So no, I got no reading done Friday morning. And then Friday night, I had my romance book club's Christmas party. So I was out kind of late socializing already. And then I came home, Josh and I watched some Christmas movies and kind of just vegged out. And did not even occur to me to try and get anything read. So we had our first official day of complete failure. And the hardest part is going to be like, you know, not letting that get to me and just trying to hop back on the horse, which we're already failing at, kind of, like, sort of. I am actually quite good at reading Saturday mornings. The problem is I end up reading fan fiction, which is exactly what I did this morning, as opposed to, you know, the book that I'm in the middle of reading. It's really hard to get frustrated with myself about that because, like, I am reading. I'm just reading fan fiction, which is not what I should be reading, but at the very least I am reading. So, yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna read tonight. The hardest part I knew going into this challenge was going to be maintaining the habit on the weekends. First weekend, and I'm already confirming my suspicions that this is gonna be rough. Once I actually got out of bed today, I did actually do a little bit of reading. Like, I think I maybe read 3 pages into Something Wild and Wonderful. Here's hoping that I will make myself do a little bit tonight, just a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot. Again, I need to just like reiterate to myself, it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be a few freaking pages as long as I do it. Hey y'all, it's been a minute since I've done like a little talking update, so I thought I would touch base with you guys. What are we on? We are on day, what is today? So we're on day 10, and overall I have been doing pretty well at staying on top of this habit. Again, the hardest days I've really had so far has been the weekends. Whenever I wake up, I don't want to get out of bed, and then I'm like in this, oh, it doesn't really matter mindset, so I just end up reading fan fiction, which I kind of talked about in my last update. And then when it comes to reading at night, Josh and I stay up so late watching TV that like by the time I want to go to bed, it's like I just want to go to bed. So after this past weekend, I really felt like I've just been falling down so much with reading. Seeing as how I'm only physically reading this month, I'm realizing how much I do rely on audiobooks because I felt like I'd barely read anything. Majority of my reading has been done in trying to create this habit in the mornings or right before bed. But it was very funny when I went through and realized like I'm actually over 100 pages into both of my current reads right now. So I actually am getting a fair amount of reading in. I do still want to be getting more in. Like, I want to consistently be picking up a book if I have the time. But even still, that's like 200 pages. If I was only focusing on one book, I'd be, you know, fair amount through. But at the same time, I'm also reading each of these books slower because I'm annotating them. I have still been reading digitally when it comes to Something Wild and Wonderful on my phone. I do have the ebook checked out. I actually rechecked it out, and I've been going through and transferring over my annotations. It's one of those things where like I'm really not mad at myself because though I do wish I was physically reading first thing in the morning, at the same time, I'm reading. Like, I am keeping the habit. I'm not really hopping out of bed as quickly as I would like to be, but at the very least, I'm keeping the habit. And then when it comes to the night circus, it's really funny that I've mostly been reading this one before I go to sleep. And with this sort of a story, I just get so engrossed in the universe that I don't want to stop. And so I do also think that's been really great because it means I keep reading. So I get that extra chapter in. I get a few more pages down. So I've had this revelation that I do need to physically read more, but at the same time, like, I'm also also more aware that I am getting a fair amount read. Since I haven't been reading audiobooks, instead I have picked back up on a few true crime podcasts, namely Case File. I really appreciate how they handle the cases they do. They feel very well researched. The narrator has a phenomenal voice. And then off of that, Josh and I have ended up falling down a rabbit hole of watching different crime documentaries. Right now we are in the middle of How to Become a Cult Leader. So while I'm not getting any audiobooks done, I'm also slightly taking away from my physical reading time because we've fallen down this rabbit hole and have been watching new shows that's like keeping us engaged in a way that like we want to continue with the next episode. Luckily, Josh's class is going on, so like when he has to get some studying done, thankfully it forces me to either edit or read because I can't continue watching it without him.
Good morning, friends. I have this adorable background for you, but I just wanted to talk to you real quick because it is the 11th day of this trial, this reading vlog, this I don't know what to call this. I haven't had coffee yet. I'm not awake yet, I'll be honest. But this experiment, there we go, experiment. I didn't read last night, but at the same time, like I actively fell asleep on the couch after Josh and I had dinner and we were watching How to Become a Cult Leader, and I fell asleep on the couch. I finally forced myself to get up and take a shower and then like promptly laid down in bed and fell asleep again. It's one of those things where like I'm needing to remind myself that it's okay. I didn't read last night. I need to not let my getting off track last night ruin the habit. And that's another aspect I've been concerned about because that does tend to happen if I'm like trying to instill a new habit or a new routine. If I get off it for like one day, I end up being like, oh, okay, oh well, I'll just restart next week rather than just, you know, trying to continue it the following day. It's also very funny that I updated yesterday telling y'all about how I'd mostly been doing all of my reading either before bed or after bed. I really haven't read any more during the day. And then whenever I got home from work yesterday, that's actually what I did. So it's kind of really funny that I said that. I guess it like pushed me to pick up the Night Circus and get a little bit of reading in. So even though I didn't read before bed, I did read when I had some free time yesterday. Usually I would have preferred to have been taking Faith on a walk during that time, but it was pretty cold and it was getting dark really fast. So I just knew that was gonna happen.
Hey friends, so it's been a few days. We're on day 15 of this challenge. Another weekend has gone by in which I sucked at reading in the morning. I, once again, just prioritized fan fiction. I don't know what it is. I'm being lazy on a weekend morning, and so my brain's like, I don't want to read actual books. I don't know why, because I'm enjoying both the books I'm reading. I did do a bit better when it came to reading before bed, though. I didn't read a lot, but I would still work in just a few pages of something wild and wonderful on my phone, and that's something. That is honestly something. Plus, I will say Sunday night, I read for almost 2 hours just purely working on the Night Circus, which is great. I'm really glad for that. Now that the week has officially started once more, I am back on top of reading in the morning, and I actually did get out of bed pretty quick this morning too, which is a good thing. Weekends are still gonna be the big challenge for me. I need to work on those, but overall, I am very proud of myself that I have stuck true to before I get out of bed in the morning and right before I go to sleep. I'm glad that at the very least, I have actually been keeping that routine. I actually have been doing it, which is great, seeing as how that was the whole focus of this video. Will I ever get better about it on the weekends? I don't know.
Good morning, my loves. So what is today? It is the 17th day of this challenge, and first off, I finally finished a book. It's the 18th of December and it's taking me this long to finish a book, which like part of me is very annoyed with myself. I don't know, I've been in like a little bit of a life slump. The change of weather, and then we've just had like a lot of crazy stuff going on. It's not as crazy as like last December was for me, thank God. Still a little bit of a roller coaster ride. Josh and I finally put up our Christmas tree last night. It is not 100% secure. I realized we don't have a tree skirt and we don't have enough Christmas lights. I finished Something Wild and Wonderful this morning and I loved it just as much the second time around. I definitely realized more this time that I just feel very seen in the characterization around 𝗖cie, with a lot of the internal reflection he goes on throughout the book. Like, I just feel like I also had moments similar to this at the end of the book, whereas 𝗖cie gets tested for autism. For me, it was more like the realization that I probably do have some light form of ADHD. I think my brother said I most likely would be type 1, but also just seeing him kind of like process through his relationships with his family and his siblings, his spirituality, just like all of those aspects made me feel so connected to him. And like reading this through a second time made it even more obvious to me, but it also just makes me so much more invested in his relationship and his happiness and the love that he has with Ben at the end of the book. Oh my god, it was so cute. And then the other aspect that I did actually realize with this is, guys, I've officially kind of conquered my whole I don't like reading on my phone thing. I mean, I'm still not great at it. It's still very easy for me to get distracted, but so long as I'm reading a book that's keeping my attention, that's like bingeable, it's easy reading for me, I'm good. I can stay focused on the book. It's once I finish the book or I like hit my stopping point that I'm like, maybe I'll just open Instagram real quick, or I'll check my game for the day. And that's where I fall off, which is something I need to work on. But at the very least, this is development. I'm getting better about reading on my phone, and I'm learning more about the books I can read on my phone, which is awesome. I'm going to try and continue with that into the new year. The downside is when I tried to find the next book that I'm planning to read for my TBR this month, not a single one of them has an ebook available at any of my libraries. And that is such a letdown. That is so disappointing. I know all of my libraries have copies of some of these books, but none of them are available right now. So even though I'd been going back and forth reading Something Wild and Wonderful on my phone and then physically reading 𝗖cie, seeing as how I did actually download 𝗖cie, I've just never officially read it in that format, I'm gonna have to start reading that one on my phone and then pick up the next book physically. So I think the next book I'm gonna pick up physically is gonna be 𝗖nie by Mona Awad. It's on the shorter side. I'm gonna utilize it for a different video, and then I'm really hoping that maybe getting through another book give me some momentum, keep me going. I don't know. That's just a hope. Anyway, I'm gonna continue getting ready for work, but I just wanted to give you all a little talk because I finally finished a book.
Good morning. I was really curious to see if I was gonna physically, I'm so not awake, physically read this morning or not, and spoiler alert, I did not. I do still have the 𝗖cie out on ebook, so I read on ebook. I didn't want to. I've been sleeping so hot lately that we have to keep the house really cold even though it's winter. I realize the irony in that. So then of course whenever I want to get out of bed it's like freezing, and so I don't want to get up to read. I read the next chapter on my phone. I read the ebook, which, you know, again, like, I'm really proud of myself that I've gotten over my whole thing about reading on my phone lately. That's great. My not getting distracted is that's still slightly a problem because I should have gotten out of bed like 20 minutes ago and I'm still here, obviously. At least I'm still reading. So I think that I just want to give you all an update because I was very curious to see on what was going to happen today. I shouldn't even be surprised.
Hello, my loves. So we officially finished out this reading vlog yesterday on a really low note, actually. It's funny to say that because at the very least, I finally had a day where I spent all of my free time physically reading, which is great. That's like what I've been wanting to get into. That's what I've been wanting to do with this challenge, is like get myself back into this mindset. And I did it. I just didn't do my reading morning or night. I kind of read a little bit on like Saturday morning. So I finally started into a different book apart from Something Wild and Wonderful and 𝗖cie, which I've been reading for a majority of this vlog. I finally started into 𝗖nie by Mona Awad. I think it was kind of perfect that I went into a book I was really excited for, that I was really looking forward to annotating, because that definitely helped keep my momentum in reading. And then especially since I'm annotating this one. Guys, it's a little hard to see, but see if I get the lighting to chill. Okay, look at all these annotations. Isn't this crazy? I'm like 70 pages in, but I've already annotated so much. Again, one of the goals I had with this vlog was just to fall back in love with reading by holding it in my hands and reading it with my eyeballs. And thankfully, I do think I did that. Lately, I've been picking books up physically more so. And then kind of a unexpected twist with this video is that I've actually gotten pretty good at reading digitally. I've been really good about actually reading books on my phone as of late. Unfortunately, every weekend in this challenge, I have ended up reading fan fiction, and I think I've come to the realization that like on weekends when I'm lazing in bed, I don't really want to engage my brain with like what I need to be reading for videos, and so I think that's why I keep falling back on fan fiction, because I know it doesn't matter. Like I don't really need to be paying attention to it, and it's okay if, you know, it's going in one ear and out the other. But at the very least, I am still reading. And then on the weekdays, I've been really good about reading whatever book I have checked out on my phone. So that kind of went against what I went into this vlog wanting, but I'm not going to complain about it because I've been really trying to get better about reading ebooks for like years now, and this kind of did that for me. This actually helped with that a lot, which is really great seeing as how I have 2 digital arcs that I need to read before February. So here's hoping that I'll continue this new habit with those books on my phone. So reading on my phone is really when I'm waking up. As for before I go to bed, I do think I've gotten a lot better at picking a book up before I go to bed, and I think I've kind of managed to get over that weird hurdle I had of if I'm sitting down to read, I need to read like 50 pages. No, it's okay if I just read a few pages. At the very least, I'm getting a few pages in, and those few pages add up. A few updates ago, I talked about how I was annoyed that majority of my reading was only happening in the morning or at night. But at the very least, like when I looked at how many pages I had read just in those 15 to 30 minute times, I was really impressed that, you know, I actually was managing in a lot of reading. And if I continue that trend into January, that's phenomenal. That's going to be adding to my page count. It's going to help me knock out books faster. I'm really glad of that. So in the end, I do think this video was a success, but it also helped me like learn a few things about my reading habits as of late and keep the trend moving forward, which is really what I want to do. So I know this vlog was a little bit different, but thank you guys for coming along. I really appreciate it. And on that note, that is it for today, y'all. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me the bunny emoji in the comments. I have all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me linked in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!